When I was younger, around 6, we used to play this game in my family. My dad would pick a subject and ask my brother and I a question on it, and we'd compete as to who would get the correct answer first. I know, very educational of a game. Obviously, the winner would be me. Just kidding. The most common topic he would ask questions on would be money and math. Like, if a TV with an original price of $600 was on sale for 30% and you had an additional 15% coupon, how much would you pay for it? If you want to know, the answer is $357. Now, this was fun at first, but then I started getting annoyed when my brother started beating me. So, annoyed little Sanika asked her dad, "What even is the point of all this? It's so boring and useless." Later that day, our parents sat my brother and me down and explained something that would be forever ingrained in our heads: the importance of money and the basics of managing it. As we grew older, this knowledge would stick with us, always speaking from the back of our heads when needed. But being in the back of our heads, we also kind of forgot about it. That all changed in 2020. After we were all stuck at home due to the COVID-19 pandemic, one day I sat down at my computer and opened Khan Academy, probably to study for my AP Physics 1 test. Instead of focusing on my physics, however, I noticed a course on there about personal finance that piqued my interest. A week or so later, my brother and I were done with the whole thing. We later went and did a lot of research on this topic and came across many shocking statistics that really opened our eyes to the financial education crisis. According to the S&P Finlit survey, only 1/3 of adults across the world know and understand basic personal finance. Around 4 out of 7 Americans are financially illiterate and unable to manage their money properly, according to a study done at Walden University. So my brother and I came together and created a way in which we could do our part in combating this huge financial education pandemic that the world is stuck in, which was our organization, Money Matters. Since the summer of 2020, we have been working on this initiative to teach students about personal finance. We teach virtual classes, create videos, write a blog, and even host our own radio show, all directed towards inspiring students to learn about these topics for a more stable financial future. In the span of less than a year, we taught over 160 classes and 300 hours together to students ranging from elementary all the way to high school. We covered a wide variety of topics, such as saving and budgeting, retirement plans, investments, insurance, and more. Through our student-to-student approach, we were able to connect easily to our students and explain these seemingly high-level topics in a manner that was easy for everyone to understand. We're just 2 people making our impact on the community. With the involvement of more people, just imagine the potential we have. As I've gone through my high school journey so far, I've experienced more and more how money plays a significant role in the lives of students. I turned 16 and got my permit 5 months ago, but the first time I went driving was 2 weeks ago. The gap is insane, but while I was driving with my dad, I was thinking about getting my license and paying for gas myself once I had a car. Especially given current events, gas prices are at an all-time high. But having to keep up with these increasing prices and making sure you have enough money for these expenses is a skill that, no matter who you are, is necessary to understand. Let me give you another example. Overspending, impulse buying. Let's say you walk into your favorite store and see something you really like, or something you've seen your friends get, and you want to as well, naturally. Just one more thing to add to your collection of 50 other things. I admit, I'm guilty of this too. More often than not, I'm trying to convince my parents to go get that one additional piece of clothing or go get Starbucks yet again. But do I really need those things? Prioritizing and balancing needs versus wants is something everyone struggles with. And it can take so much self-control to decide if you truly need it or not. But it's important to realize that even a little can go a long way in money, and saving on that one thing you really want but don't need can turn out to help you significantly. Especially because not knowing how to manage your money properly can be expensive. According to the Financial Educators Data Council, this illiteracy cost each American around $1,600, and as a country, $415 billion in 2020. That's a lot of money. And now it's also just so easy to be influenced by our peers and all the different social media trends. And that's barely scratching the surface. I'm a junior in high school. That means in about 6 months' time, I will be applying to colleges. Very scary. I really try not to think about it. But so many students focus on just the getting accepted and the loving where we go part about this process, for good reason, obviously. But that doesn't mean we can neglect an additional aspect that plays a direct role in us deciding where we go: the monetary and financial one. There are many factors at play in how much going to college can cost a student, such as financial aid, family income, scholarships, grants, loans, and more. This is such a huge topic in the college application process that goes undiscussed until it's too late. If you don't believe me, here's the statistic. In 2020, student loan debt reached a record high of $1.56 trillion. I know when I heard this number, I was absolutely shocked. This crippling student debt crisis is the reality that is created when students miss opportunities to pay for college in a method that is not simply taking a loan. It's clear that students at this age don't think about the debt they may be in years from now. And I'm going to be honest, it's hard to wrap my head around it too, when I know it's not going to affect me until later. That makes it easier to push off. But we need to think and talk about it as a society now, and not when it's too late and we're knee-deep in debt. According to the Education Data Initiative, each year, over $2 billion in federal grants, which is free money that does not need to be paid back, gets unawarded, generally due to a lack of applicants. $2 billion. So if each student knew the resources they had access to, wouldn't they be able to manage their money better? And then, wouldn't they be able to exploit these resources to not be in a position later on where they're struggling to pay it back? When doing my research on personal finance, I read a lot of news articles about people not managing their money properly and going bankrupt, particularly athletes and actors. Now, I'm not a huge sports person, as anyone who knows me would know, but one sport I do know a fair amount about, courtesy of my brother, is soccer. So when I was reading the news, I read an article about soccer player Diego Maradona. He earned more than $3 million every year from soccer, but after his career, he owed more than $50 million in taxes to the Italian government. And that's just one story. There are many implications that can happen when someone does not have adequate knowledge to make their financial life stable. Personally, I've experienced this with a close family member. Due to a lack of proper execution and control over wants, this person experienced great losses in the stock market. In unfortunate situations like this, it is important to keep emergency funds and a backup plan for sustainability and stability. The consequences of a lack of financial education can be seen at a national and even international level. These can include poor saving and spending skills, unwise money management decisions, excessive debt, and more. This lack of financial well-being can lead to mounting stress, financial insecurities, deterioration of health, and increasing crime rates. According to CNBC, 2 out of 3 families lack any emergency savings, and 78% of adults live paycheck to paycheck in this country. And that's just one country. Worldwide, this is a problem everywhere. And financial literacy rates are even lower, depending on factors such as country, gender, income, ethnicity, and accessibility to resources, just to name a few things. Now, there are 2 methods that can be implemented to have a sustainable financial life. Picture this. In an ideal world, everyone would be financially literate, and this education would begin early on with students. By doing this, people wouldn't be in a position later on where they're struggling to pay their money back and regretting why they didn't learn about these topics sooner. But can we get there? If so, how? Well, these 2 methods, if implemented, can allow us to improve not only our individual financial state, but the financial education pandemic worldwide. The first method, integration. This can mean your involvement and support in initiatives that provide financial education, learning and incorporating better money management techniques in your own life, teaching your family members and friends about them, and a whole host of other ways that you can directly learn and apply this knowledge to help not only yourself, but our community and society as a whole. I really recommend you all to check out financial resources, educate yourselves, become a part of organizations such as Money Matters, and overall, integrate this financial world into your own. The other method, proactivity. By simple definition, this means acting upon the anticipation of something. In other words, taking steps now for what may occur in the future. We don't know what our future will bring. No one knows that. But what we do know is that we can prepare ourselves today for whatever course tomorrow takes. It's our lives, and we have control over how we go about it. In order to maintain a secure financial state and continue improving on your finances, taking a proactive approach to learning and applying these concepts to your life is key. Imagine this. If something happens to you or a loved one, do you have enough money to pay that amount and still be in a secure financial state, given that there is a significant cost being incurred onto you? Or imagine if you lose a lot of money in an asset or investment. Are you financially stable enough to go through that loss and still be able to pay your taxes, expenses, and keep up with your financial life? If your answers to these questions is yes, awesome, continue what you're doing. If it's not, well, just to give you a little hint, today seems like a great day to start new things. Hopefully you get what I'm saying. Even if you think you know something, there is always more to learn in this ever-changing subject. Being farsighted about what may happen in your future, depending on your current circumstances, can allow you to take those steps by which you make your finances more secure. These 2 methods I mentioned, integration and proactivity, if implemented, can allow us all to improve not only our individual financial state, but build a better world. So imagine this, a world where everyone is financially literate, and this education starts from an early age. But to build that better world, we need to start from students, from that young age, and start this education today. So on that day, in 2012, when an annoyed 6-year-old Sanika went to her dad to complain about her brother beating her. She ended up learning about the basics of personal finance. And that, with a series of events in between, led to her being up on the stage talking about it today, which is absolutely crazy. And she's still learning. That's the beauty of it all. But if everyone starts this early on in their lives, just think about how the entire world can become more financially literate. So take action today. Learn about personal finance. Spread the word. And don't forget, it's your life and your money. Thank you.